everyone, and welcome to How to Use Generative AI in Bid and Proposal Writing. My name is Georgia, and I'm the Content and Social Media Lead here at AutogenAI. We put together today's session to show you how you can leverage AutogenAI for your bid and proposal writing and highlight some of its main features and benefits. During the webinar, the chat will be open for any questions you may have, which will be answered at the end, and a recording of this webinar will be sent to all of those who registered. Presenting today is Lucy Southall, who is a user coach here at AutogenAI, who I will pass over to now.
Hey everybody, Georgia's right. I am a user coach at AutogenAI. So my role involves introducing our users to the system, conducting regular training sessions, and then gathering user feedback so that our product team and designers can continue to enhance the quality of our system. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen for you. Make sure that you can all see the system here. So the purpose of this webinar really is to showcase our tool, which you should be able to see on the screen now. All the features that I'm going to cover and also the benefits as well that this system can offer. So AutogenAI is currently the fastest growing generative AI company in the UK. And right now our enterprise level solutions are being used by clients across 3 continents for bid writing, thought leadership, marketing copy, and so much more. Now, AutogenAI has been designed to give businesses the competitive edge needed to win new work in today's market. Our cutting-edge natural language processing software is what makes a company's language work for them, saving time and money, as well as improving the quality of their bids and proposals. So, as most of you on this call will know, bid writing is a multifaceted, time-consuming process that involves extensive research, comprehensive data interpretation, and creative flair. So there are multiple stages. There's understanding the project scope, gathering information, crafting responses, and adhering to formatting guidelines. And then, of course, you've got the multiple stages of drafting until you get to the final point when you're ready to submit. So this system has been built by bid writers who are all in my team for bid writers, specifically around the workflow of writers to address each and every single one of their pain points. Now, when we look forward, we see a future where no business case, bid, proposal, or brochure is going to be written without the aid of AI. It's unthinkable to create a financial model without Excel, and we think it's going to become clear that it doesn't make sense to write without generative AI. And those who embrace this technology are going to be those that stay ahead, win new business, and drive organizational growth across all sectors. So let's dive straight into this demonstration and we can actually see how AutogenAI works and what it can do for your team's writing process. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of some of these tools at the top. Let's begin with the ideator, starting with an overview, then we can dive into the details. Now, ideator does what it says on the tin. It generates ideas for that first draft, allows you to structure it almost like a storyboarding, narrative building process. You've then got the editor, which is what allows you to incrementally improve and review that first draft using a whole host of tools at the top here. You've also got the inputs tab, which allows you to insert things like win themes, objectives, tender requirements. All of these headings are customizable, as well as the contents beneath them too. So anything that you want to emphasize within your customer proposal or bid, or even marketing campaign, you can do it here. Then we have our Research Assistant tab, where you can access the library and internet, asking questions of it in order to get a little bit of cited copy that you can paste straight away into your document. Now, when I talk about library, like as in library AI, as we've got ticked here, what I'm talking about here is the entire host of documentation you can upload into the system on behalf of your company. So I kind of think about this as the memory for the artificial intelligence. So anything that you put into this library is then retrievable and essentially knowable by the AI. The idea is that selected individuals from within your organization will be assigned as document managers responsible for uploading and organizing all of your documents, which are kept secure by our commitment to industry best practices, all of which are affirmed by the latest ISO certification and Cyber Essentials CSA Trust. So let's get into the ideator. Now, the ideator tab, as I was saying before, is where you might go at the start of your writing process to begin to build and generate ideas that will form the overall structure of a response. These ideas, or even subheadings, will be what replicate the storyboarding process in the planning phase of any project. So let me just type in or paste a little question here. How does AutogenAI make bidding more efficient? I've gone for a how type question. And if I want to, I can add context too. I can start talking about what the document is, what I'm trying to get out of it, and maybe some information about the location. So I've prepped one already. AutogenAI is bidding to be on the UK government's framework for artificial intelligence providers. I'll click confirm, and that will begin to funnel my ideas. I can even modify those ideas further. Perhaps today I'm going to pick a one-word modifier such as strategic to allow the tone of my ideas to be demonstrated by the thing I've selected. So you might be wondering, where will the answers come from to this question that I want to generate ideas from? Well, it's going to first look through my library where we have all of the things that we've written previously, just as I would in a writing process. I'd look through things I've done before. It's then going to use Creative AI, which harnesses the power of large language models, which have read over 700 billion words and are very powerful for coming up with high-level ideas that don't require current facts, but which have a knowledge cutoff of around September 2021. But I love that you have this option if you do want to think differently about things you may have done in the past. There's also Internet AI, so I can see what other people are writing about around my topic too, which allows us to access the current internet as it stands today. So you can see that in just a couple of moments, it's come up with this whole series of ideas. So that's what AI is really good for. It's good at coming up with ideas fast. It's not so good at judgment. This is where we work with human intelligence to decide what will make it into my draft. So I can see here that one of the Creative AI ideas, I can see there it says Creative AI, has said that it recommends that I use a smart algorithm to automatically scan and filter potential bidding opportunities. Okay, I might like that idea for my document. There's also an Internet AI idea. So I can literally click here to see what source the Internet AI has generated this response from. So this is about us dramatically reducing the drafting time, which is from this particular website on LinkedIn, and I can click to add that too. So I'm working with the minuses and the pluses to choose ideas. There's also something from Library AI. So I can see here that it's from one of my team members' bids. In fact, our CEO, Sean, who used to be a bid writer, he uploaded a bid to our library, and this is where it's generated a point that I can also add. I can then reorder these using, again, my human judgment to start to build out a narrative. So this is where I can start to really structure my document. And by clicking on the sources, I can see where each of these come from. I can remove to get rid of the ideas and select to choose the ones I like. So I might structure my argument a little further. I can even enter a custom idea, and I can immediately copy these ideas to clipboard, or I can click generate paragraphs, which will essentially take the points that I've selected using my human judgment and build them out into a draft response in just a couple of moments using the sources that I've selected here. So I've had this opportunity to put these into the order that I like. It will then generate the ideas and build out that draft response. In just a couple of moments, I've now got, as you can see down the bottom, over 1,000 words of a drafted response to my original question: how does AutogenAI make bidding more efficient? So we are now automatically taken to the editor tab. We talked a little bit about the ideator. Now we've got the editor. So essentially a first draft. So what I can do is actually start to look through here and see if there's bits that I want to edit, that I want to change. And the beauty of this is that it's never going to replicate or copy a source word for word. Instead, it will generate entirely original output based on the selected source material. If at any time I want to view sources, I can click down the bottom and see what's being used for this. So first thing I might do is dive into the inputs tab and change my company name. I can actually start to inform one of the features or a few of the features within the editor. So then I can actually just highlight a piece of text, scan along to choose a feature that best suits my task, Say I want to turn passive text into active bid style proposal or bid text, I can hit this feature, we will. What this does is it takes the company name that I put in my inputs and changes it to active text. If I like the addition, I can check, see where it's made changes in making this more active text, and then send the text in by clicking the arrow. I'm always presented with multiple options, just as I would if I was hiring 3 assistants to work with me. I'm often presented with 3 or more options when I'm generating outputs. So I might also want to weave in a particular win theme. So I can head straight back over to inputs and I can see that I've already put some of these in. Again, these are all customizable. So I can go back to editor, highlight a piece of text that I want to incorporate a win theme in, go into this button here, incorporate, like a jigsaw piece, and it comes up with those 3 headings. Like I say, all customizable. I can perhaps click on tender requirements and select the one that I want, and it will weave that into the text. So you can really enjoy spending time finding appropriate pieces of text that you want to strengthen with specific inputs, specific win themes, unique selling points, whatever you want to do to bolster your argument and strengthen your document. Now, you may find that there's sections of text that you also want to cross-check as it's generated by different forms of AI. I might want to search for something. So I can do this perhaps by finding a specific sentence that I would like to check on the evidencing for, check on the sources for, and I do this by clicking search. And here it does a hybrid search where it looks at both the library and internet AIs to find exactly the word for word search of this particular sentence, but also for the semantic meaning-based search. So it's doing a combination of 2 searches. Gives me document outputs, internet outputs, alternatively, so I can see where something similar may have come up. I can even select the source icon here on the right-hand side to click through to actually download the document if I want to do any further reading on that matter. So some of my favorite features there, I talked about we will, talked about search, and I talked about incorporate, where you can incorporate win themes or particular strengthening arguments to your text. There's so many other features here in the editor. I particularly like expand as well. So I could take a piece of text that I want to build upon, click expand, and the system will again use both library AI, internet AI, and creative AI to build out a more in-depth response to the piece that I've highlighted. So I can quickly and easily just build out on policies, certifications, anything that I might have in my library that I need to reference. I can find that by expanding on the text and it will build it into a paragraph. Now, I can also do the opposite of this. I could send in this text that I like, and then I could summarize it. So our prompt engineers have worked with this summarize tool to enable it to retain as much meaning as possible and act like a thesaurus to shorten what I'm saying to make it that little bit more concise. I can also improve my grammar. Sometimes if I'm writing a piece of text from meeting notes and I'm not writing in a particularly good way or accurate way, I can highlight that text and it will just improve it for me. So I can select the one that's most appropriate. And there I can show you how this can be useful for perhaps people whose first language is in English or whatever language you might be working in. With improved grammar, you can improve that in just 1 click. I also really love rephrase. Really useful for when I'm trying to repurpose a piece of text, maybe a piece of bid or proposal text. I want to use it for something else, maybe a blog or something I found online and I want to repurpose it for my own work. I can just highlight the text and click rephrase. Also, sometimes when I'm burning the midnight oil and I'm trying to rewrite something in the best way of saying it, I can just write it as free thought, highlight, click rephrase, and then it will do just that, sending it over in a different way, offering me alternatives so that I have that flexibility and choice with my writing. Really useful feature. You may have noticed as well that there is a couple of Americanisms in the text. Perhaps here you can see emphasizes with a Z. If I go back to inputs, I can just change that to British English. go back into editor, find that Americanism down the bottom, and then I can go to translate to British English. So you see how it changed from translate to French to translate to British English. This is because you have the choice of whatever language you want to change it to. It will always give multiple options. And the more heavily digitalized that particular language is, the more accurate it will be. We're actually really proud of some of the brilliant feedback we've had with the translate feature. People have found that the translations have actually given out outputs that are ready to publish, ready to send. So really useful for translating and often better than some of the key competitors in the translation field. So I can select the one that most fits. It's changed out the Z's for S's, emphasizes there, you can see. Now fits. Now, another one of my favorite features and most useful is word cutting and word and character count. It's hugely important to keep within the tight word constraints of submissions for bids and proposals or any writing of most kinds these days. By just clicking this button, you can see I have 176 words selected. I can reduce that down to 100, 85, whatever I need. We recommend not less than 50% because you want to retain the meaning and keep that human judgment on the content to include. But I can work through a huge document in chunks, reducing it down in the appropriate places to fit the word count. And it always says on the right-hand side how many it's reduced by. And I can even click this toggle here to show difference, see what it's cut out, and send that in, replacing the text. So preview changes, as I've shown here, can be really useful to keep track of how you're adapting things. We also have a tone of voice feature. So because we're a group of writers here, AutogenAI, we had a chat and thought, what would be a good tone of voice feature for us to have? What would be a good tone of voice that really represents our organization? And we really love Shakespeare. We feel that that tone really represents us, Shakespearean style. So when we click this tone of voice feature, it will take on the Shakespearean tone of voice, which I love using and demonstrating, mainly when emailing my team. But also this really clearly shows for me that whatever your company's tone of voice that your marketing or your creative people might have put together in order to make sure that you have that uniformity across your business, with this button, we can have our prompt engineers custom design it so that with just one click, you can change it to be representative of your tone of voice, allowing for that synchronicity across all your company content. Really useful for so much of content creation today. So as I was explaining, most of these features are actually those that replace the text. They transform it. We like to refer to them as transformations. All these features on the right side actually add to the text. So we have our evidencing features here where I can highlight something that I want an explanation of, a statistic for, an example of, or a case study for. I highlight that particular point or assertion and it will feed back evidence for me based on the specific feature that I've clicked. And we also have this pure completion feature. So I can directly command the system using this handy lightning bolt. So let me think of a prompt. I can change the text. So I have my prompt here. I'm directly commanding the system using my own natural language. And I can highlight the text below that I want to change. I click pure completion and it will obey the command that I've given it. It will fill in the prompt that I've asked for. So it's given me now 3 options of bullet points, summarizing the text below. So I'll wait for it to just stream. It can even tell me how many words it's reduced it by, and characters too. And if there's one that I like, I just send it through. And it will add it underneath, as I was explaining. I could also repurpose it into something entirely different. Quite useful for our marketing team. And then I would just hit pure completion and it will perhaps even use emojis. But I could go into quite a lot more detail with this prompt. I've shown you quite a simple and short form one there, change the below into a LinkedIn post. I could say, change the below into a LinkedIn post, speak in a specific tone, and I could give the tone, mention these specific items, things that we want to get across, and make sure it's all done in a certain size. I could also change my text into slides for a PowerPoint presentation. So you can really see the cost saving elements, the pure completion and the flexibility of having that ability to prompt in whatever you want to type, whatever natural language would best serve you. You can see how that would really add to efficiencies within business. So really top feature for me there. I wanted to show you this tab as well at the top. We covered ideator, editor, inputs, and then there's also research assistant. So this is for generating answers to questions. You can ask your research assistant any question, and then you get an answer generated using accompanying sources from the internet or your library, which saves hours of research, and it's all cited and sourced. So I might ask something like this. I can click generate, and it will be searching the internet, searching my library for any relevant information. But what's useful as well is that it will give me this little paragraph at the end, which I can directly copy into my text. I don't have to worry about clicking into multiple sources. This is going to do it for me. It's actually going to scrape the top 5 to 10 outputs on major search engines to deliver this. And if I click below, it's got sources. It's found some news on Yahoo, which is actually our latest news. And then it's got these two bids as well. So it's given me the latest news combining those 3 sources. I can then copy to clipboard, head back to the editor, and paste it in. So I can even make that italic, bold, whatever I need to edit that piece of text. What I love about Research Assistant as well is that we now have a feature where you can add a variable. So I can ask a question, again, what is the latest news about AutogenAI? But I can also add a variable. So I could say, highlight this. Maybe I want it to search about AutogenAI, but I also want it to search about maybe Google. I can add that as a variable. I can add multiple variables and it will search them all at the same time. So you can imagine if you were doing some research, maybe about a competitor or some industry news or something that was happening in different countries, different localities around the country, I could ask, what is the unemployment rate in, and give a full list of variables, and it would one by one create a research report of all these different outputs that I could easily just copy straight to clipboard or export. So really useful to have that assistant there with you. Now, finally, I really wanted to show you extract. So extract is where you can actually pull information from any document and take specific extractions from it. So you can see if you click this question mark here, we've got some common extractions that are explained in these little descriptions. So you can drag and drop a document in, or you can just paste text. So I found some online. I found a specification that is 27,000 words long. Take me ages to read. Maybe someone on my team would have to read it to check. But if I need to get lots of different things from this specification that are going to inform my writing and my bid response, I might want to just extract those specific topics one by one and then revert back to them whilst I'm working. So if I click Commissioner's Priorities, for example, it's going to let me know that this might take up to 5 minutes, but it's going to pull anything related to Commissioner's Priorities from that document. In the meantime, I can go back to Ideator, continue to develop ideas, asking questions, how type questions to get ideas on how to build out an answer. I can go back to Editor where I can finesse, change the text in different ways, transform it in evidence. I can weave in certain win themes, company values, unique selling points to really strengthen and bolster my work. I can change the language, take out any Americanisms, change my company name and change the text to active text. And again, search and research assistant with a series of variables. All the while in the background, my work is being extracted so that I can then use that to even later inform those features further. So I already did this earlier just to demonstrate, And you can see that it's listed out all of the things that this particular 27,000 word specification would require. So I might choose one of these that I think would work really well as a win theme, which means I'm then literally using the text from the commissioner, rewording it and making it my own. So I'm really answering what that specification asked for. So here we go. Providers must have an appropriate complaints process. I know that for my company, that could be something that would be really useful. I might head straight into inputs, delete this, paste this in, and maybe change it to the company name. And that is a win theme that when I go back to my text, I can actually immediately weave in with this incorporate puzzle piece feature. So I'm actually using specifically the text from extract. And it can show difference again. I've instantly got 3 options and I can just send that in to replace. So a really useful way to dive into the exact wording of your commissioner to get what you need out of it. And this is just taking it word for word. It's not doing any AI on it. It's just delivering me anything relevant from within the document. I can go through my history. So I can do this for multiple documents, as I know that in the bidding process and the proposal writing process, there can be a lot of documents to work with. So those are the main features to show you, really. There's extract, ideator to come up with ideas, list formats, editor, where I can use a whole host of evidencing and editing tools. I can change to bold, italic, underline. I can even change the color. We've got research assistant and inputs. So that's all for me on this demonstration. But what I did want to say is that all of these features combined are what allow bid writers to create content faster and more efficiently than ever before. And at AutogenAI, we believe in augmented intelligence. So this is the power of humans and AI together. So rather than replacing bid writers, it's more accurate to say that we're delegating tasks to AI. And when you use our software, you can get that first draft, quite good first draft standard in minutes instead of hours and days, and then spend the rest of your time using human intelligence to incorporate creativity and strategic thinking to get that bid up to a winning quality. By automating those time-consuming, mundane aspects of bidding, AutogenAI is giving businesses everywhere across all sectors the competitive edge by giving them more time to focus on the strategic planning, building strong client relationships, and completing those high-level tasks. So let's go into some of the Q&A.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Lucy. It was a really, really great presentation. So we've had some questions from some of our attendees. So our first question was from Samuel, who was asking where the data is stored. So the data is stored in AWS2 servers, which is London hosted, but we can host them in a range of locations for our clients, and this is done on a case-by-case basis. And as well, Natasha asked if this is a multilingual platform. So yes, AutogenAI can translate into nearly any language in the world, over 100 different languages. Jay asked as well if we can use this tool to respond to questionnaires. Yes, so if you want to generate responses to questionnaires, you can upload previous questionnaire answers to the solution, and then the AI can then draw on that information to draft new responses. Mark, you asked if our software is powered by ChatGPT. So we actually use a variety of large language models depending on the task at hand. So if you want to expand your text, we'll use the power of one language model, but if you're summarizing, we'll use power of a different one. And we do this because large language models are optimized to perform different language-based transformations. So we'll use whichever one is best for the particular task at hand. Just go through these questions here.
So and also I saw Mark was asking about sensitive data and ensuring that it doesn't become publicly available. So what we do is we kind of handle the data throughout the journey. So even when it's being stored, we have like certain things in place to ensure protection. So when we collaborate with any large language model provider or we work with our own, we guarantee that we ensure that all of that data is kept safe at all stages of the process and is impossible to store, handle, alter, or view. So any large language model provider that works with the system is entirely impossible for them to do any of that storing, handling, altering, viewing, shaping, or forming. So it doesn't feed back into the wider system like you might find with other AI tools. So our only role is to process and enhance it using our product in merely the specific locale that you may find when you're actually logged into the system. So there's no records of your inputs or what you've typed. So you don't need to rely solely on our assurances. We've got the top industry certification as well. We've got the ISO, the brand new ISO 27001 and Cyber Essentials CSA Trust to back this up.
As well, Isa asked what our costs are and if we have solutions for startups. So yes, we have price points for charities, SMEs, and enterprise level clients. Cameron has dropped his email into the chat, cameron@autogenai.com, for more information on pricing. You can also reach out to us via our website on the contact form there, or else email contact@autogenai.com. We'll just see if any more questions come through here.
One has come in on how do we ensure that the data produced is unique for each client applying for the same tender. So the beauty of this software is that every single output is entirely unique. It never replicates anything. So if I highlighted a piece of text and clicked expand, for example, it would give me 3, 4 outputs. And if I was to do it again 30 seconds later, or someone else was to do it at exactly the same time, it would be entirely different. Every single output is entirely different. Where I think of it sometimes is like every single human being genetics is entirely different. Unless you're identical twins, it's just not able to do that. It would be entirely different every time. Even if it's generating from your library or the internet, it's going to word it slightly differently, which is what makes each response entirely unique. And then Chris says, I presume the customer generates their own library content and this is similarly secure. Yep, you're right to presume that, Chris. So what we have within the client's team is they will assign specific people to be document managers. So sometimes our larger organizations may have just a couple of people that they deem to be responsible enough to handle the library. They're responsible for uploading all the documentation, and that is entirely secure, entirely separate within your own entire like login, your entire instance for your organization and only your organization. And Jenny, do you offer trial or proof of concept? Yes. So what we do is we do something called a test and play. We want you to have a chance to experience the benefits of AutogenAI. So over a few hours period, this can be negotiated the time that you think would best suit you. We can give you an entire company instance. You can upload your documentation and you can have your team have logins themselves. We have a user coach like me come on and you can, or one of our sales team, and you can ask any questions to them. And then you get a chance to actually go through your day-to-day tasks, maybe working on a bid, and you can actually use the software for that. And then if you're happy, you can talk with the team about how to proceed after your test and play trial period is over. And just checking if there's any more questions. Got a couple more minutes in case there's any last ones.
We'll just give it one more minute and just see if anyone has any last questions before we finish up.
Once the text is edited, is it up to the user to put it into our own template? So what you can do is work within the editor. So we recommend working in there for as long as you need to create your document. You can almost see that as this kind of canvas space where you're working. And then once you've maybe done your final translation to British English, or you've incorporated your last win theme, you can highlight that text, or you can just click copy to clipboard, and you can just send that right over to a working document, or you can send it, make it into a PDF, whatever you need to do, and then you can send it off.
To answer Chris's question there on client feedback, and if if we have any statistics around time saved, yes, Chris. So our clients typically experience a 70% reduction in drafting time, and an 8 times increase in their productivity, as well as a 50% reduction in bid writing costs and a 30% increase in their bid win rates. And as Cameron has put into the chat there, Circle recently found as well that they had an 85% time saving in a 6-month proof of concept with us, and he's linked to the article there, which shows that client feedback.
And to answer your question, Joanne, it is able to produce a project plan with key milestones based on the tendered question. So what I might recommend doing for that is using the pure completion feature, where you could design your own prompt, where you would literally just ask the system, please produce a project plan, including these key milestones. And I could even put in the text beforehand and ask it to pull out or extract the key milestones. So I could put that into extract, ask it to pull out the key milestones. Then I could paste them into editor and form a prompt where I'd say, write a project plan based on these key milestones, and it would generate 3 options for that.
Perfect. And Jenny asked if we have any collaborative tools, such as simultaneous editing. We will do. That is coming in the 2nd quarter of this year.
And it's the same for your question as well, Joanne, about cross-referencing with the evaluation matrix and scoring criteria. So that's something that you could do currently with some of the tools. For example, with pure completion, you could design your own prompt where you would say, cross-reference the below text with this specific evaluation metrics and give a score. What we're also working on in our product roadmap is a way for the system to actually have an entirely separate section where we can do bid marking against the specific evaluation matrix and scoring criteria. So we're currently building that as we speak, and we're really excited for that development. We do have quite a few customers in the US, yes. We opened fairly recently in the US, in answer to your question, and we do have customers that are using AutogenAI there.
So just to answer the question here, a 30% win rate improvement is great. How does AutogenAI help enhance win rates? AutogenAI helps to enhance win rates because it allows bid writers to focus on the more strategic elements of their bids. So with a 70% reduction in drafting time, which helps with the time it takes for editing, proofreading, research, they can then focus on the true elements of bid writing that makes for a winning bid.
And any other features that we can highlight? Yes, sure. I can just share my screen again quickly. I can just run you through maybe some we didn't cover in a huge amount of detail, but one that I love is the word cutting feature. So you may find that when the words are reduced down, you actually like a lot of your content. You don't really want to take too much of it out, but you can just hit word cutting and remove adjectives so you can make your text a lot more concise. So again, when you're in those last minute phases of trying to make your text as punchy as possible, there can be a human instinct to make it a little bit more verbose. So with doing this tool, you can actually just get rid of some of those descriptive words and reduce the text down in a really succinct way. One of my other favorite features is, for example, everything about bid writing and proposal writing is about evidencing and strengthening why you would be a good business case for a specific scenario. With explain how, you get offered lists. So I put in a prompt here or a command. I just said, the thing that I was thinking. So AutogenAI will use AI to develop pitch proposals. And I clicked explain how. And with all three of the AIs, library AI, internet AI, and creative AI, it's given me lists of ways that we could do this. I could untick creative and internet, and through just my library and these specific bids, it's given me lists of how I could do something. So I can bolster that out and build out an answer. So it just allows me that opportunity to write the theme or a sentence to begin an answer, click explain how, and I'm going to get original, unique, and sourced ideas ready to incorporate into my response. So explain how is another really popular feature. We also have the capability to reset everything at any time. I can clear all local data and start from scratch. But other than that, the system will just keep all my stuff in there. When I next click onto it, it's all still there for me.
Jenny just asked as well, does the ideator, when presenting library content, use it verbatim or does it rephrase it? Generally, Jenny, it will rephrase it, but will have quotation marks beside it if it pulls directly from your documents.
Yeah, it just uses like the library AI as a source and then builds something very much based on that. It's always original.
Darren, as well, you asked if we have a breakdown of the industries, markets, and enterprise clients who are actively using the solution. So there is a direct correlation between the industries that bid the most and our client base. But if you would like to learn more about this, you can still reach out to us at contact@autogenai.com.
And we've also found, I've been amazed at just how much variety there is across the different industries, markets, and enterprise clients. It is a bit, if you name it, they're interested at the moment. And also we just have a huge breadth of variety in people that were already using it. We have a hand up.
We'll just give one more minute for any last minute questions that might come through. We've got about 2 minutes left. All right, well, I think that should be just about our time. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined us this afternoon and to all of you who asked us questions. We really hope that you found this session helpful. If you want to view this again, a recording will be sent out to everyone who registered. Or as we said before, if you do want to learn more, you can contact us via our website, autogenai.com, or reach out to us at contact@autogenai.com. All right, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.